Welcome to corporate and commercial practice. Under this module, we are introducing students to structuring business contracts in modern business. In modern business, various contracts are entered into by individual corporate bodies and governments to cater for specific business relationships and interests. It is therefore important that legal practitioners are given skills in structuring appropriate contracts. So we have a lot of work today, so I believe that I should pass through the workshops. Please, if you have not subscribed, subscribe, like, share and comment, so as you don't miss any updates. So as far as workshop 1 is concerned, the aims of this workshop is to develop the ability to advise and on the application of various legal principles relating to employment, agency, distributorship, and franchise relationship. Develop your ability to structure employment, agency, distributorship, and franchise contracts. So basically, when we talk about agency, we know what an agent is. For example, DSTV, we have a lot of agents from our local villages where we come from, our local centers. Those are agents. Then we also have a distributorship and a franchise. So a franchise can be like KFC. Most of the KFC are under franchises. So those are kind of the relationship you'll be looking at. So by the end of this workshop, you'll be able to explain the establishment of an employment contract and the silent features thereof, advise on the establishment of agency, distributorships, and franchises, determine the different statutory rights of employees, structure transactions involving matters ancillary to employment, and draft employment, agency, franchise, and distributorships agreement. So part A, assume that you have been hired as a highly trained legal and HR consultant by MK Power Industries. Your terms of reference include to help the company set up proper HR structures in accordance with the law, draft an appropriate human resource management manual for employees, design a standard employment contract for different contracts of employees from the CEO to the drivers, give the company general advice on the mandatory obligations required. You have been given the following additional information. The company is engaged in the manufacture of energy saving stores. The company also works with interns, the casual laborers. The company also engages the service of carpenters. The company refers to a lot on labor of women. There are many cases of petty theft. At any one time, there are at least 150 people working at the factory. Because the company pays a good hourly rate, some people work until their limbs can't move. The company wants to bring an expert. So advise the company legal status of the different categories of persons engaged in work. So basically here we have a lot of different people to include one, we have casual laborers, and basically when you look at the Employment Act, it defines casual laborers to mean people who are paid on a daily basis. Those ones are called casual laborers. Then we have also interns. These ones are under apprenticeship, and they are not entitled to an employment contract. These ones are always under apprenticeship. Then we shall also look at different things like the foreign nationals. For example, the CEO. How do you hire a foreign national when you're going to hire a foreign national? So, because there are other things you have to follow when you're going to hire a foreign national, including obtaining a permit and a license, among others. Then 3, what provisions will you include in the design a matrix identifying the mandatory human resource and related compliance issues? So when we are looking at this, we have to look at the employment contracts, work permits. Foreign employees must obtain work permits, wages and remuneration, statutory deductions, health and safety, child labor laws, disciplinary and termination processes, and workplace surveillance and privacy. So those are the human rights compliance we have to be looking at. Then 3, what provisions will you include in the human resource manual you have been asked to design? Not to draft the human resource manual, explain the clauses you will include. So we shall include the following clauses: 1. Recruitment and employment, compensation and benefits, work hours and leave policy, workplace safety and health, disciplinary and grievance procedures, termination and redundancy and resignation. So those are some of the clauses we shall be including in our human resource mandatory and related compliance in the human resource manual. Then what process will you put in place to ensure efficient running of HR operations, legal basis, grievances, and binding effect? So basically here we shall have work safety and health policy, legal basis, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, relevance protects employees from workplace hazards. We shall also have equal employment opportunity and non-discrimination policy, legal basis, the Employment Act, relevance is promise workplace diversity. We shall look at work hours and compensation policy. We shall also be relying on the Employment Act. So things we shall be looking at things like those ones. Task 2: what legal requirements will you have to fulfill before employing Mr. List them, do not explain in detail. So basically, once you are going to employ a non-national, you have to get a work permit, you have to comply with the labor laws. So basically, that because when we have the labor immigrations regulations, which basically governs how we are supposed to be employing non-nationals. So we have to look at that and then advise accordingly. But we have the regulations which governs how do you employ non-citizens. So draft and operate the contract for the CEO based on the information provided below. So we shall proceed to draft an employment contract for a chief executive officers with position and duties, terms of employment, compensation and benefits, performance expectations, leave entitlements, confidentiality, and also disciplinary measures. Draft the standard template. So here we are going to draft the standard template for all other workers, include position and duties, employment type, salary, working hours, leave, among others. So part B, assuming that Mr. Hakan has exceeded all expectations and the company's annual sales are now USD 30 million. Sales have grown so much that the company is not able to effectively involve in production to the market. At the same time, the company wants to concentrate on manufacturing only. James Mgaga, an entrepreneur who has set up a strong chain of outlets that we are selling Heineken beer across the country, has recently become a born-again Christian and has agreed with the manufacturers of Heineken that he cannot sell alcoholic beverages anymore. So basically, when you look at this part B, what we are doing is a distributorship agreement. So the most appropriate modes would be distributorship, and the agreement here would be distributorship agreement. Then task 4, assume that the business acumen of Mr. Mgaga and his wife through their company has imposed the Cafe Java. So here the most business would be a franchise. We are looking at a franchise, and then the agreement is going to be a franchise agreement. So when we proceed from there and we go to another task, part C, assuming further that it has sent a great opportunity to help Mart Choice. So here Mart Choice, we are going to go for an agency, become an agent, and the most appropriate agreement is going to be an agency agreement. Part D, assume that MKPI has grown so much and has thousands of consumers, it wants to set up a robust call center to receive and handle complaints. So when you look at part D, basically what we are going for, because they're asking what's the most cost-effective, engaging to. So basically, it will be outsourcing. We are going to go for outsourcing. So MKPI outsources call center operations to sourcing instead of establishing an in-house team. So outsourcing is whereby you get services from outside. So the agreement here would be an outsourcing agreement. The agreement here would be an outsourcing agreement. The necessary due diligence would be legal status and registration, reputation and track record, financial stability, technical and operational capacity, compliance with employment laws, and data protection and confidentiality. Then part E, as far as part E is concerned, part E is concerned, we are looking at tuna rapidly growing, seeks to connect unemployed Uganda youth. So basically, we are going to do how to export labor. We also have a law on labor export, which governs labor exporters. You must have a company, you must have a license, and also you must have a training center. All those ones are provided for by exporting of foreign workers. We have a regulation which governs that. Basically, that's what we're going to look at for better guidance. Then part F, in dealing with part F, we shall basically look at the labor unions. Labor unions are created by the Constitution, but also have the Labor Unions Act, the Labor Unions Act and the Employment Act, because those are the laws that governs labor unions. The role of labor unions, when you look at that, the role of labor unions is supposed to fight for workers' rights, brings together workers, and also fights for their workers' rights. Then when you look at modalities of setting up a labor union, there must be a minimum number, registration, and there must be an agreement. What's the best way to protect the interests of all parties? First and foremost, you have to focus on win and win approach, dialogue, and mediation. So what's the importance of collective bargaining? Agreement on how it can be managed. CBA is a formal agreement between the company and the union that outlines key employment terms. This ensures workers' rights are protected. So a CBA is the agreement between the company and also the trade union. So task 2, strategies. What strategies can ensure that management does not become hostage to the demands of the employees? Build a strong internal employee relationship, establish an internal employee grievance mechanism, competitive wages and benefits policy, develop a proactive communication strategy, among others. So that's what we shall be looking at under basically that task. But in case you want comprehensive notes, or you want a group where we carry on discussions and then you get to receive notes, you can WhatsApp me on the number on my bio, and then you have to receive those notes. But members pay monthly subscription. So let us move to workshop 2. Basically, when you look at on workshop 2 part A, we are looking at what are any risks involved in the project. Basically here what we are having is the Road Development Center has decided to take e-learning to another level. To this end, LDC has decided to construct a 12 farm at Purpose Hall with state-of-the-art farm rooms and lecture theaters with full video capabilities. The intention is that the students should get a 3D feel of classroom even if they are intention. So basically, in looking at that one, where there are any risks involved, we looked at government funding delays or shortfalls, cost escalations, contractor default, damaged existing works, among others. Those are the risks we looked at. Then where the risks can be mitigated, budget adjustment, schedule payment, advance payment security, insurance, and among others. Then on insurance, among others. So basically those were the things we looked at on task 1. So when we go to task 2, what security should LDC take? Security, we can have payment performance bond as well as bank guarantee. Performance bond is a type of security bond where an insurance company guarantees that the contractor will fulfill their obligations, including repaying the advance payment if they default. That's what we call a performance bond. We can also have a bank guarantee. A bank guarantee is one of the most secure forms of advance payment protection. This guarantee ensures that if the contractor absconds or fails to perform, the bank will pay LDC the guaranteed amount. What undertakings should LDC obtain from the contractor? 1, we have contractors undertaking for quality work, liability for poor execution, financial undertaking for delays, and insurance coverage. So what's the draft document? Here we went for a performance bond. Then as far as the next issue is concerned, part B, we are dealing with assume assuming that further project kickoff ZSCRE. So when we look at part B, how we are going to be going about it, because here we are dealing with the situation. So on what's the process of enabling a successful handover of site so that works can begin. One, site inspection and documentation, site handover agreement, safety and security measures, provision of utilities and resources, then worker mobilization. Then what policy will you expect from ZFC covering all risks? We have construction all risk insurance, public liability insurance, employers liability insurance, machinery and equipment insurance. What critical clauses would you look out for this policy? One, we have coverage scope. The policy must explicitly cover all construction activities, limits of liability, exclusions, and also third-party liability. Then what's the checklist which will enable the director to approve the policy? One is the insurance covered comprehensively. Does the policy cover a sufficient amount? Does the policy cover all workers? Does the policy include machinery and equipment insurance? That's what we shall be looking at. Then part C, LDC seeks to hire Money Logistics to supply video conferencing. What process can the director follow? Measures which should be taken to ensure the LDC gets value. So we have technical due diligence, vendor reputation and track record, clear specification of deliverables, service level agreements, system customization and flexibility, licensing and cost controls, among others. Then the other thing was the other questions. Task 5, as far as task 5 is concerned, task 5 we are dealing with LDC has hired Telecom to provide internet connectivity through fiber optics and leased lines. Given the critical nature of the service, advise her on what's a service legal agreement and what it entails. Basically, a service legal agreement is a formalized contract between a service provider and a customer that outlines the specific services that providers will deliver, the standards of service expected, and the remedies or penalties if those standards are not met. So we have to define the services, scope of the services, and how they are going to be assessed, and also the support. Then the other question was about advise the director on the critical components of and who to look out for in the contract and service level agreement. You have to look clear description of services, geographical coverage, customization, service availability and uptime, guaranteed response time, resolution time, monitoring systems, among others. So basically those are the things we have to look at. So basically that's a brief analysis of workshop 2, but in case you want a detailed discussion, you can WhatsApp me, and then we add you in our program where members pay monthly subscription fee. So when we go to workshop 3, basically workshop 3 we are dealing with the Sale of Goods and Supply of Services Act, and as far as question 1 is task 1 is concerned, advise MTL on the difference contractual relationship you identify from the facts. So we have the sale of goods, also have the supply of services. These ones are all governed by the Supply of Services Act. When you basically look at the Supply of Services Act, it's governed all these relationships. We have what we call sale of goods and also supply of services. So Section 2 of the Sale of Goods and Supply of Services Act and Section 3 defines what is a contract of services and what is a contract of goods. Then we shall also look at rights, MTL's rights. The Sale of Goods and Supply of Services also provides for these rights to receive the agreed payment, to deliver vehicles, to repossess the car in case of non-payment. Then MTL's duties provide the car or car parts as per the agreed specification, ensure that the cars or parts are delivered, and also buyer's right. So when you look at basically the Sale of Goods and Supply of Services Act, it gives you the rights of the buyer as well as rights of the seller, to include right delivery, payment, stopping goods in transit, among others. So what's the best way of protecting MTR against risks involved? Of course, we can have insurance coverage, clear terms in the contract, and also inspection and acknowledgement. Then we drafted the standard form contract. Basically here, we drafted the standard form contract. Then from there, we're looking at task 2. Task 2, we have data rights in the circumstances and its rights in circumstances. So when we are looking at these rights, we are looking at who has property and whether property had passed. And here we are looking at right to compensation and who is liable and who had the risk in the goods and whether property had passed or not. The Sale of Goods and Supply of Services Act is going to guide us on the same. Then we look at task 3. Basically, task 3 deals with liability, if any, of rain loans, and the liability will include liability to incur the loss, because basically here we shall be discussing and whether property in the goods has passed. Instead of Goods and Supply of Services Act, we are looking at risk and property, and basically whether the risk in the goods had passed to the buyer or the seller, but this is always due to what you have agreed. Then the remedies, right to claim damages, terminate the contract, and also to negotiate, among others. Then task 4, we are looking at any breaches, breach of contractual obligations, breach of an implied term, and breach of warranty. And liability to Jones, repair liability, refund liability, and also any options of the institution. So basically, the Sale of Goods and Supply of Services Act is very guiding, and it's very conclusive. It covers almost everything. You have to look at it. It's going to be our guide on workshop 3. But in case you want full and comprehensive notes that comes in time, you can WhatsApp me on the number on my bio, and then we can add you in our mentorship, but members pay monthly subscription fee. So the number is 075 676728 075 676728 I wish you a blessed week ahead.